Hello and welcome to another episode of veCast. I'm very excited to be here today. My name is Dr. Dominique Gummelt and I am Andrews University's Wellness Director, and today we are going to be here to have another brilliant conversation about the subject of thriving. Welcome everyone who's joining me today. I'm super excited that you're here wherever you're joining in from. Stay tuned. I'm about to bring our guest onto the show and we're going to have a brilliant convo. Like I just said, he is such a dynamic young professional who has achieved amazing things. He's a leader in so many different areas. And today we're going to have a real talk conversation. And I really hope every single one of you will benefit from this conversation. So whoever you are, wherever you're from, stay tuned, invite your friends to come in. And if you're a student at Andrews University, you can get co-curricular credit, okay? Co-curricular credit for being on this show today. So please stay tuned. We'll tell you where the link is at the end where you can go to. But while I do this introduction, guys, please type into the comment area what country you are tuning in from. Where are you from? What city? What country? I want to see. Type it in. And while we do that, I'm going to bring our guest to the show. His name is Denard Fenaud. So here he goes. I'm going to bring him on.
Very cool. And thank you so much. Yes, there it goes. Baltimore, Massachusetts. Yes, it's great to see it. Hey, there you are.
Yo.
Can you hear and see? Are we good?
Yeah, we're good. And I'm noticing you kind of trying to steal my flair.
Yes, I had a little secret message that was sent my way that today is the day of neon colors.
Let's go. Let's go. Twinsies.
Yeah, and also, I mean, I had to go with the pink because I'm the lady, and pink. It's a pink thing.
True. My motivation is just that typically people use the yellow highlighter. It's the original. So I just want people to know that I'm the original always.
Oh, boom. That was good. That was actually really good. So, but hey, I think it's great that we worked on this little partner look scenario today. So I think that's good. So welcome Denard to
Thank
veCast.
you.
This is not your first time on veCast. You were here in season 1, and I'm really excited that you were willing to come back. And today we have a little bit of a different twist to it than we normally do. So I just want to quickly say welcome to all the people that are just tuning in, wherever you're from. Some people, we got Chile in the house now. Chile is here. Wonderful. So where are you from, people? Whoever you are, write it down. Where are you from? Okay. We want to see which countries are in the house today. And please do invite your friends. We got Riverside, California. Hey, I used to live in Riverside, California. I actually know where you are. So, please use this little paper airplane. I don't know if that's what it is. I call it a paper airplane, bottom right. And you can click it and you can invite people to join this live. So I ask you to do that. We got South America there, another one. Wonderful. Great. Okay, so this is veCast. This show is brought to you by University Wellness at Andrews University, Michigan. And Denard is indeed in Michigan, and I am actually in Hanover, Germany. So we are truly international. Yeah. And that's what I love about this program and about technology right now, that even though we are maybe in some ways more disconnected, we're also incredibly more connected in many different ways. And so I'm glad we can do this. And veCast, guys, is a program with a purpose. veCast is about exploring the various different dimensions of well-being so we can find pathways to transition knowledge and theory into practice to live a better life and to optimize our existence, to really unfold our full potential to thrive. And that's what we talk about here. And so during the last few episodes this season, oh my goodness, we had so many wonderful guests on the show. We had stimulating conversations, and I myself learn every single time about how can we shift something? How can we look at something different, look within yourself, and to make those changes. And if you're here for the first time, or you missed all the other episodes, you can go to Andrews University IGTV and you can find all the previous episodes there. Watch them, you will be enriched, and it will help you to make changes. And so that's a little intro to our show, Denard. And you already know about all that, but I'm telling our guests, obviously. And so, so we are going to talk today about a subject that has been really relevant to you and I. We've been talking about this most recently. So why don't you introduce what we're going to talk about?
Well, I'm not sure I can give them the all the goodies, you know, when in regards to this conversation, because honestly, you and I, we come from two different lived experiences, but in all of our experiences, we shared a collective challenge that became an opportunity, right? And so after you've done a great job with bringing on people like Karsten and also Dr. Fisher, everybody talked about things, but afterwards we realized that you and I, we needed to debrief, and we had some candid conversations, you know, and I'm pretty sure we're going to dig a little deeper into it. But and now we get to invite people that are listening into some honest conversations you and I had about the vulnerability during this quote unquote mental lockdown, you know. So there's this lockdown that we all have physically, but sometimes we actually, because of that, we're focused on just the physical nature. We miss the fact that some people are in paralysis or they feel incapacitated mentally. You know, how do I go? Where do I go? What do I do? And that's really where you and I started just blossoming these honest conversations. And I got to know you a little bit more. You know, I won't shed a tear right now, but I'm just grateful that we started these conversations. And I think we realized we needed to have this more broadly because we realized that other people may be struggling with it.
Absolutely. That's a brilliant intro to that. Absolutely. And look, it is February 23, 2021, and the world has legitimately fully changed during this last year. It changes all the time, but how it has changed over this last year has impacted pretty much everyone that's watching this. Some people have been impacted more, some people have been impacted less. But what I find so fascinating is, and I think that's kind of brought us to this topic, is that, you know, everyone is talking about lockdowns, partial lockdown, full lockdown, whatever lockdowns. And so that's been our life, right? Our lives have been sort of saturated by continuous, you know, are we in a full lockdown? Is it a partial lockdown? Where do I do what? Is it going to be extended? And at the end of the day, as we sit here today on February 23, none of us really actually have full clarity how things are going to develop as it pertains to the situation. But as we were talking about this, you know, most people have been in some type of a lockdown since like March last year, somewhere around there. Some earlier, some later. And it became so clear to me as we're talking about all these subjects that it is a great parallel to thinking about how many years many of us actually have been in a mental lockdown already. And that's something that just it's becoming so clear to me, because I think a lot of people are realizing as a physical lockdown is imposed upon us, as we are forced to go more within ourselves, while some of us are probably avoiding that still, we are needing to realize that maybe we have lived in a lockdown for much longer than we've been thinking. And that's something that has been really occupying my thought process.
Now, I didn't expect to go this deep, but I love the parallel that you bring. And I was sharing with you briefly and with everyone else that I was just listening to awesome podcast by Krista Tippett. And I want to bring this I just want to bring this into like with what you just said, like how this physical nature of this lockdown actually only illuminated what we probably brushed under the rug. And what you just highlighted is, if we look at it in the sense of it's been actually a year, and I am a relational person, so I want to speak about this in the sense of language. I believe generally that we enter into relationships with the ideal of wanting long-lasting commitment and long-lasting relationship. So we seek permanency, right? So when we hear lockdown or pandemic, it's something involuntary thrusted upon us. And so we also assume that it should be temporary.
Yeah.
And so the same way with relationships, it's difficult for us to actually ascertain an understanding of where we're at mentally when what we desire cannot be achieved, because the reality of what is temporary seems permanent. I don't know if that makes sense. You following me?
Yes,
I
am. I am. I'm really tuned into, okay, that last part. Explain that a little bit more as it pertains to relationships. So what are you saying about this relationship and this, what you think is permanent or temporary?
Yeah. Thank you for asking that question, because so in all honesty, I think we just need to just take the gloves off in reality and look at it. So there are some, and if I can be a little bit indiscreet here. So with my wife and I, we've never had to share the same space for so long.
Yes.
In addition to that, bring in our child, who is now 8 months and very demanding. So there was opportunity to break away, right? So there was not this sense of permanency. And just to fast forward to make the point, what happens is now we're forced to not just see ourselves for how we are, but for who we are. And now the problem is now we're valuing relationships where in the past we were like, man, I can't wait to just come home because I want to get away from this relationship. Now we're yearning for other relationships to help us deal with the relationships that we're in.
Yep.
So it's just highlighting it. There's this homesick feeling that we deal with. And then there's also this desire for things and I want to come to this because I realized that I was actually giving energy to relationships that I wanted to be long lasting, but really temporary. And so when it came down to my wife and I didn't have the energy to give to her anymore, simply because it was already given away elsewhere. Yeah. And so mentally, I couldn't resolve the two, because I was like, man, I should be giving her more, but I couldn't because I was already giving it in elsewhere. So now I'm faced with the reality, like, Denard, have you really given the right people the right type of energy?
Yeah. Oh, I like that. That is so good, because in many ways I see this, like you're saying, there are a lot of parallels between these things, because what you're really talking about is with the choices we make and how we choose to live our lives, where we give our energy, how much time we give what relationships we nurture more or less, and all these choices that we make in all these areas contribute to us creating our own type of lockdown in different areas. Is that that's kind of what I was thinking that you were saying.
Exactly.
It's like, okay, when we hear the word lockdown, I'm just gonna, so when I hear lockdown, like you just said earlier, it's involuntary. It's not something that, you don't associate it with voluntary. And when I hear lockdown, you also think about things like, I think about things like walls and locks and things shut and being trapped, being captured, having your freedom taken away to some degree. But this is where it gets so super interesting, in my opinion, because if it is really our own choices that even create our own mental lockdown, then also the key and solution lies within ourselves.
Oh man. You literally are highlighting this is my life philosophy, honestly. This was, in all credit go to God, in regards to this, but there was a moment where that aha moment, which you just pointed out, because there are the walls and barriers when we have to just be honest. When you look at the pandemic, there's this pandemic of misinformation that causes fear, right? And so then you're saying, hey, I'm not going to go here. I'm not going to do this. And then you make the choice to stay in. You make the choice not to communicate. But then because you believe these other things are controlling, you fail to realize that you had made the decision, which is power, And so I learned through this aha moment. God basically taught me that the distance, and you're a runner like so you'll know this. When you're running, there's all the butterflies that go in your stomach to start, and then but there's this end, and on the curve we call it the bear on your back. And where we normally want to give up, you have to make the choice to keep going. But here's the philosophy. The philosophy is the distance between giving your all and giving up is the same. And I want you to catch this. I want you to catch this.
I was gonna say,
and I learned this.
Say that. Sorry, say that again.
Yeah.
Say that again.
I love your excitement, by the way. It makes me feel, there we go. The distance between giving up and giving your all is the same thing. But catch this. This is where God blows my mind. Because as a runner, when you are literally winded, right? Wherever point you give up, what do? And when you giving your all and you cross that finish line, you lean forward, you do the same thing. So here's the difference, Dominique. It's where we choose to give our last breath. Yep. We make the choice. Yep. We make the choice where to give our last breath. So if I give my last breath before it ends, then I made the decision, but I forget that I was the one that made the decision. So at all times while we're running this race, we have to choose where we want to take our last breath.
Yes. Yes. Oh, that was so good. I love this. This is a quote I need to write down. I need to put it on t-shirts because, oh my goodness, look what you're saying. It is such a relevant topic. Okay. And obviously because we're both from sports, we will keep talking about metaphors with sports because that's just the way our brain thinks. But I don't know if you've seen it, Denard, and maybe some people watching here. I love challenges. I always need challenges in my life. And so I put on my vision board, which by the way, do you all have a vision board? If you're watching and you don't have a vision board, it's time to make a vision board. That's just a little nugget in between. But on my vision board, I have life goals. I have short-term goals. I have all kinds of goals. And one of the things that's on my vision board is that I want to plank for 10 minutes straight. Okay. And so the world record is something like 8 hours or something. I mean, it's totally off the charts. And so, but I was like, 10 minutes is a lot. I mean, it's legit, right? And so my partner and we've been training. And last year we started with this thing, we're going to do a 3-minute plank challenge. And we thought that sounded so amazing. That's a lot. And it is a long time. I mean, if you haven't been planking, 30 seconds seems like a long time, right? Yeah. And so we worked for 30 days, increasing it by 5 seconds at a time. And then when we got to 3 minutes, we literally thought we were world champions, right? But anyways, and we were. That's where our mindset was at the time.
That's good.
That's was awesome. And so, but then we were we're trying to, keep changing and transforming and going further. And so I put on my vision board that my life goal is to plank 10 minutes. And I was like, okay, I'm going to have to figure out how to do that. And I'll land my plane here in a second. But basically, in November, we started again. And I said to him, we're working toward 10 minutes. He looked at me and goes, are you crazy? We did 3 minutes and we thought that was a lot, And so I was like, and he's like, okay, well, so we started increasing our plank time by either 5 or 10 seconds. And so we've been doing this and people have been following us on Instagram because we're always posting where we're going forward. And so true story, about 2 weeks ago, we've been working up to it. 2 weeks ago, we did 9 minutes and 30 seconds.
Hey.
And so and I'm totally using this as as an advertisement right now. But so just so everyone knows, this week it is planned for Friday, that on Friday we're gonna break our record for 10 minutes. That's the plan. So on Friday we're gonna go for 10 minutes cycling. But here's my story about this. As we've been working on that, it never fails. It doesn't matter how many times I've planked now. It's exactly what you said with running. You get to a point, and I can tell you exactly when that point comes. It comes somewhere around the 2-minute mark. Once I'm planking for 2 minutes and I get to 2 minutes and I'm on the mat with my elbows and you start feeling your shoulders. That's really what is just the hardest, and feeling your shoulders, and you think to yourself, there's no way I'm going to go to anything beyond 2 minutes. Like you're sitting there, you're in pain, like literally your knees are so close to just like dropping to the ground because you're starting to feel like your body's getting warmer and you start sweating and you're laying there and your elbows are hurting and you think to yourself, it's 2 minutes. Like how in the world am I going to get anywhere? But that's exactly the same point that you've been talking about. And I have been, for me, because this is really a challenge for me personally, I have been, every time I get to that point, I have to make a conscious choice to say, I can do this because I choose to do this. I'm going to do this and I'm going to breathe through this. And I'm going to choose to send a message to my body from here to say, you need to stay there. You need to be strong. You need to train. And then what is so cool about this is that it pretty much only works when we do it together, because together we can't, it's like when the other person's still there, it's like you can't give up. Like you just can't give up. And so there's this element of support, or like if he sees I'm struggling, he'll start like yelling at me and saying stuff, and I'll do the same. And the other day, it was super crazy, and it was just a testimony of this that is parallel to what we're talking about. I was getting to 5 minutes, and like literally, Denard, I saw no way. That day we were supposed to go to 9 minutes or something, and it was like 5 minutes, and there was no way. I literally thought, if I will keep planking for another minute, I will die. Like that's how it felt. I could not keep doing it, and so I was planking, and he saw I was really struggling, and he says, do we only want to do like 7 minutes today, like while we're planking? And I'm like, yep, that's all. Like, I don't even know I can get there. And I said that out loud. And 10 seconds later, I was like, no way. So I was like, no way. We said 9 minutes. We're going to go to 9 minutes. But this is the point that you were making too. And this is where the parallel comes in. We have so much more power and strength that has been given to us. We didn't create it. We were created with the ability to have a much higher resilience and threshold than we even remotely think about. And so we already have the gifts. We already have skills. We already have this potential, and we're living somewhere around 10 to 20% of our potential. And let me tell you, and then you can totally start throwing up.
Keep going. This is good.
I'm going to say something really bold, and I'm just going to say it because right now I am so sick and tired. I'm so sick and tired of human beings choosing to live way under their potential in some type of status quo world, and then tell me, I'm good. Yeah, it's all right. Yeah, sure, it's fine. I'm like, what are you talking about? That is not how we were created to. That's not thriving. I don't know what that is, but it's not thriving. And we were created to thrive. We were created to do more with ourselves. And so I'm at the point now where I have very little patience when I talk to somebody and I'm like, so how are you doing? And they're like, yeah, I'm okay. And I'm like, how can you keep living this way? Why would you want to keep living with this thing of like, oh yeah, I'm okay. That's living in a mental lockdown. I'm done.
You said, hey, I'm not gonna lie to you that there's this concept in the Black church. We were like, when it's good, we like, you can preach that, and I think and that's in honor of Black History Month, by the way. So in case people think it was off tangent, no, it's not. But no, I think in all seriousness, I think something that I would like to highlight in what you said. And I don't know, I just want to see if this resonates with you, but you're also suggesting that there's this climactic point where it feels like a breaking point, but if we make a conscious decision, and also at times there may just be a need for someone to support us along the way, to motivate us to do more. But it's interesting what you are describing to me. What I heard is that the same intersection where your breaking point is also your breakthrough, but you have to keep going.
Yes.
That's interesting. Because you know what that reminds me of? you said so many things that I wanted to just capture. Like the fact that we all are different means also that we struggle at different points.
Yes.
So in that accountability, there's almost a higher possibility that when I'm struggling, you're not. So you can always encourage me, right? Yeah. And then vice versa remains true. But this is also what I like and what you were saying is it reminds me, if I can go back to the running analogy, especially for anyone here, because I know we're about to do this route. We're doing this route to raise where it's an 8-week challenge to run, right? And,
yes.
and everyone's invited. That's my plug since we're doing something, and we'll give more information about that as well.
Yep.
But what I found is in running, there's this thing, and it's in all sports, but it's called the second wind, right? And that's what that reminds me of is that when you use the word resiliency, I believe it's like once you get past that point, what I love about it, that point becomes like almost an afterthought. Like I'm getting so excited because like what you're saying is, and my struggle with that same concept of just being okay to be okay is that you created your equilibrium and your status quo in that, and then you dismiss the reality that you created it. So your power to create status quo means that you have the power to go above it. You get what I'm saying?
Yes, amen. That was so good. Yes, like, exactly. No, you got that exactly. And so that shows you also the beautiful complexity of the human creation and what we're capable of. And that we honestly, we have to make a choice. Every single person has to actually make a big choice every day. Am I going to live a life with the attitude that I am the victim, or I'm the person that can really take action? In other words, am I going to really just sit there and let circumstances in life happen to me, or am I going to happen to life? That's the choice. And this mental lockdown scenario that we've been living in for a lot longer, maybe right now this physical lockdown is really helping us to see what we've already created within ourselves. And that, you know, I'm not kidding. I mean, I have so many conversations with people right now in this situation, and you know, there's people that constantly are looking at the situation like, oh, you know, now we can't do anything and all this stuff. And I'm thinking to myself, that's your mindset. That is your mindset, the way you choose to live. And we have the power to choose to live a life of thriving, not because we are all powerful, but because we've been created by the all powerful to live that way.
Come on now, you can preach that. Like, you get me excited. But there's so much to this, and I in all honesty, because sometimes we may be far removed from it. What I do want to kind of is color the tone of what I'm saying too, because I am not far removed from the everyday struggle to make that decision, right? Right. And so if I can just like soften my tone a little bit, because like I recall just literally the other day I had a conversation with a colleague, and her struggle was the expectation in this space prior to the pandemic was to be her best self. And so for the life of her, she could never figure out why was she not adjusting. And what I found is the reality is that she never gave herself grace. So the problem is when you are okay with just being okay, but you are not actually recognizing the reality of your circumstance. So here's what I'm trying to say. She just started something, and she's meaning entry level. She hasn't been in a year for a year, but her expectation is that whatever she's doing now, it's as if she's been in it for 5 years. And so when we brought it down, I said, can there be a difference in this space? Because we are all, what's normal about this pandemic is that nothing is normal. So let's start there. And then I said, what we can actually do a paradigm shift, instead of trying to be your best, just do your best.
Yeah. And
she was like, okay, what does that mean? I said, how about we start with what's effortless and do that every day?
Yep.
You know? And then all of a sudden, guess what? She went from, okay, I get it, I got it, I'm doing it.
Good.
And I think that that's important. That's
Yes.
important for us to actually recognize that, yes, the struggle is real per se, but also that what we can do is shift our paradigm and our perspective to actually recognize that because there are variables that are outside of my control, that doesn't negate what I can control, which is I can make the decision to do my best, regardless if the circumstance around me may not be the best circumstance.
Yep.
Yeah.
Exactly. And that is, that is so powerful. And we are, of course, discussing today from the platform of Andrews University. We have our roles here. We are discussing things with the foundation and the premise of a spiritual foundation. And within that context, let me say something else. I think the subject is so interesting, particularly in the context of spirituality and Christian life, because I think so many people who call themselves Christian or spiritual oftentimes utilize that as an excuse for inaction.
Break that down for me. Come on.
So, for example, if we go down this path and say, we have way more power and potential within us to actually do things, there often comes this discussion, well, but you are not all powerful because God's all powerful. Absolutely. But just because God is all powerful, he has still given us the free choice every single day to live our lives the way we have been designed to live our lives. And so, oftentimes I find this thing of that we often try to use God or our faith almost as an excuse for inaction when it comes to certain things. And I mean, this is a deeper theological conversation to move into, obviously. But I guess, for me, I'm at the point where I have now for 20 years. I have worked with so many people on their transformation journey, whether it was physical, emotional, spiritual. It's been a huge privilege to be part of the journey of transformation, because it is a privilege to be a part of that. But what I see over and over and over, that the thing that we're not really grasping and comprehending is that we are responsible for building a mental lockdown around ourselves, which is keeping us, exactly what you say, which is keeping us from keeping going, which is many people decide to take their last breath of the run when they're just starting because of ABC reasons, whatever that may be. And the thing is, and then we say, well, it was because it was cold. I didn't have the right shoes. I didn't have breakfast. It's because, yesterday was just really stressful because I had 3 tests and whatever external. That's not to say these things don't actually exist and there's real things to that. But at the end of the day, it is about not making excuses that you have been created to live up to a higher standard with everything that you've been given physically, mentally, and every single way, and not be content with the status quo. And that's something that, to me, it's just like, I don't know. It's like you buy a new flower and it's just starting to bloom, and you like give it everything it needs, and it's like, yeah, I just don't want to bloom. I just don't want to grow. And that,
like,
it's
there is
frustrating.
so much to that. There's so much to that. I just want to give a quick shout out to Dr. Oliver Galans, because you know him as well as I. He is definitely a forward thinker. There's many of my professors in the seminary, but I'm getting extremely excited. You're gonna have to sit me down real quick. So whenever I need to sit down, just tell me, because there is something you highlighted here that is like, really, if you could see what's happening in my mind, in my heart, and my soul, I'm doing backflips. Mickey Mouse is actually running inside of my mind right now. But here's what I really want to say very quickly in regards to what you're saying. This is why I believe what you touched on is so gold in regards to us being able to free our minds and do what God has called us to do, because we find in John chapter 14, verse 12, and you don't have to take my word for it, but you can just search for it. And I truly believe this. John chapter 14, verse 12, Jesus, a perfect being, is saying to his disciples, he says that, verily, verily, truly, truly, I say to you. And he says that the works I do, you will do also. But catch this. Catch this. He then adds a caveat to it, just to blow your mind. He says, but greater than these you will do. So a perfect being is telling me, an imperfect person, that I will do greater work. But here's how. Because Ephesians 3, verse 20 says it. It says, now unto him that is able to do exceedingly and abundantly. Here's why we know it's mental. Above all you can ask or even think.
Yep.
Or even think. But this is what I love. Oh my goodness. He says, after that, here's why. Because he says it's according to the power that worketh within you.
Yeah.
Jesus is empowering us to do more.
Exactly.
And I love it because Nike, I'll leave with this and say this final point. Back in when I was turning 25, there was a famous photographer. He tells me this. He says, Denard, the word try exists, but not in concept. And he reaches out. He reaches his hand to say, Denard, I need you to shake it. If you don't shake my hand, we won't be taking this this. I was doing a photo shoot, and I was like, okay, whatever. And then I reach out and shake his hand. He's like, look, Denard, you can either do or not do it. And that's why the Nike mantra is so powerful, because it's just do it. You have the ability to just do it. If you don't, here's the decision you made. You made a decision to not do, to be neutral, to be mentally locked down, but you had the choice to make a decision otherwise.
Yep.
And Jesus empowers us to do so.
Yep.
I'm done. I'm excited. I'm done.
That's it. Show's over. Point made. Nothing else to add to that. Nothing else to add to that. No, I mean, so much truth to that. And I'm so glad. Thank you guys for all your comments, man. You're putting down some great comments. I'm really glad that it's resonating with you, because honestly, I think we live in a time we really need real talk, because the time the time to rise up, the time to just do it has been here for a while. And if you are choosing because of whatever you want to add to the list of the exterior reasons why you can't just do it, then you are not living a life of thriving. You are not choosing to thrive. Every single one of you watching now or during the recording, each single one of you has been created extraordinarily, like Denard just said, and the work has already been done within you. You have the resources, you have the power, you have potential to go way beyond just the status quo. Ask yourself these things. Ask yourself, what is it that I really see? What is the big picture? Don't settle for less. Just because for the last 15 years everybody has told you, and I this is a dangerous path, but if everybody has been telling you, it's your grandmother has been a teacher and your mother has been a teacher and you should be a teacher or whatever, you know what I'm saying? Like this whole thing, like you need to find your individual calling, you to find your passion. And if you don't know what that is, find it, because you can't thrive unless you live your passion. And maybe it is not what you've been doing, and maybe you've been studying some kind of major for 3 years and it's not your passion. Well, then find your passion and start thriving in your life and start making adjustments. It's never too late to make adjustments, and right now there's no better time than to just do it. If you have been wanting for 10 years to lose weight, just do it. The resources are there. You have the knowledge. We don't have a knowledge problem, Denard. We don't have a knowledge problem. We don't have a knowledge problem. We have a practical just do it problem. Wow. That's the problem we have. And so if we are in a mental lockdown, and now listen carefully, I'm not saying that we are not in need of other people. We are definitely in need of other people, because we've been created in a social context. We've been created to be needing each other and to support each other. And maybe we need someone else. Maybe somebody needs to hear this today. to start moving out from their mental lockdown. Or maybe you need someone by your side every day. Maybe you need a challenge partner, an accountability partner, or whatever you may need. That is totally good and normal. But at the end of the day, it's your choice. It's even your choice to find that and to reach out and to ask someone, I need help. Do you want to be my accountability partner? Let's talk about our goals, our visions, our dreams, our passion, and let's move forward. Don't be by yourself, but you yourself have to make a choice to just do it, and then to do that within a supportive social context.
Well said. Wow.
So with that, with that, a couple of action points. So everyone watching, seriously, everyone, ask yourself this question. Have you been living in a mental lockdown where you have created a life of walls around yourself, of limitations around yourself that is keeping you from living life to the fullest potential? Do you know what your strengths are? Do you know what your skills are? Do you know what your true passions are? And true passions are not what other people tell you are your passions. What are your passions? What's your go-to? And I challenge you today to ask yourself these questions, because that's a starting point to transition your life path onto a path of thriving. And so I want to encourage you to consider these questions today and look at some of the other episodes, because we've talked about some of these subjects in more detail, and to figure out a roadmap of how you can actually get there and connect with people that are, look, my last point here, you are always the sum of the 5 closest people you hang out with. So the people you spend the most time with is who you are going to become. And so with having said that, if you are choosing to just do it and live a life of thriving, you need to surround yourself with people that can go that same path. I mean, look, it's the same thing why your parents tell you don't hang out with people who do drugs because you're going to do drugs. It's because it's human behavior. We do what other people do. We copy other people's behavior. We actually, when someone, do you know what I'm talking about? Like somebody comes into a room and either they light up the room or they turn off the light with just their presence. And that's what transfers energy to you. So ask yourself this last question. Who are you surrounding yourself with? Are you just sitting around in all your free time and watching 5 hours of Netflix or playing games or whatever? Are you thriving? Are you maximizing your time? Who are you with? And I'll tell you, it makes a big difference to start going that path and to start breaking down the walls. And you know, there's a saying that I love. Many people say, "Well, I don't have a choice. I'm pushed against the wall. I don't have money. I don't have a choice." I don't know, whatever the subject may be. And I always say, and I steal this with open heart from one of my favorite shows. I know some of you watch Suits, and I have seen Suits. There's some really great quotes, but he always says, when you're backed against the wall, just break it down.
I like that.
And I think that is so key in what we're talking about. If you are pushed against a mental lockdown wall, for whatever reason it's there, break it down, because you've been created with the tools to break through, to break out, and to move forward, and not just for yourself. And this is important. You have all that potential to live your potential for your life. But if you start living a life of change, of positive change, you inevitably impact other people for positive change.
I got to give a round of applause for that one.
Thank you.
That's a mic drop.
Yeah, but Denard, real quick as we wrap up, as we're talking about so much just do it language here today, what is Route to Raise, and why should every person watching this now or in the recording be part of Route to Raise? What is it? How do they do it? What happens?
Yeah, that's a great question. And as we wrap up, so Route to Raise is based on this concept, is an opportunity for people to actually break down their mental lockdowns in a physical way. It's an 8-week challenge that started actually 2 days ago, the 21st. And you can find information. If you're at Andrews, you can find more information after this via the University Faith app. You'll find also we'll be sending out information through the agenda and email. But in general, it's actually we give an opportunity to everyone. This is we do not discriminate in this. We want everyone an opportunity to help someone else. And this is how you would be helping someone else. Whenever you run or walk a mile, basically what you'll be doing is gaining an opportunity for someone else to actually receive funding through the actual Andrews University emergency fund that actually does this. This is what it does. Everyone is actually struggling, but some people are struggling in a more financial way, and they need assistance. And so just like Dominique said, what you can do is as you run, you will ultimately, at the end of the 8 weeks, you will pledge however many miles you ran, you accumulate the funds. And then after that, what we would do is give those funds towards the funding to help a student like you or a student that you may know to actually matriculate through this pandemic in a way where they recognize that this essential thing, that they are not alone. And that's what we want everyone to remember today, that we were made to thrive, not just individually, but within community. So this is your opportunity to raise funds for someone else, but raise funds for a purpose. And it's a purpose to help everyone thrive and achieve their best life through this pandemic and actually moving forward.
Excellent. Wonderful. Everyone should be a part of it, regardless of what you can do. It'll be good for you. It'll be good for your community. You can run, you can walk, you can wheelchair your mileage during that 8 weeks. And so enroll with us. I posted in the little chat down here our Andrews University Instagram account, which is, the University Wellness Instagram account, which is AU Live Holy. So connect with us there for more information. If you have questions, connect with Denard or I on Instagram. We can also totally, we'll talk to you, assist you, throw impulses your way. If you guys are looking for how to break out some more, we've got so many resources, always happy to connect with you. And on our private channels, we have a lot more resources as well. So feel free to connect with us. So super. Thank you guys all for being here. If you are an Andrews University student and you want co-curricular credit for today's program, then please go to the Andrews University Instagram account, and in the bio, you'll have the link to where to register to get co-curricular credit for today. And as you know, ThriveCast is on air live every Tuesday at 11:30 Eastern Standard Time. So mark your calendar wherever you are. And I have to give a quick preview. I'm super excited. Next week, I have on the show, again, the one and only Ty Gibson. You do not want to miss it. He is one of my favorite people on this planet. He has insight. He's got wisdom beyond what I have seen, and he will inspire us for the next level of thriving. So, Denard, you have the final word of today.
Oh, I want to just repeat something you said. If you have a wall, whatever if it's a wall someone else placed there, if it's a wall that you placed there yourself, this is what our challenge and our invitation to you today is. Break it down, and break it down, and don't just break it down. Step on it and step through. So that's how we encourage you today. Step on it and step through. And you were made to thrive. I was made to thrive, and we serve a God that's helping us to thrive. So I thank you, Dominique, for sharing this space. Thank you for being a friend. Thank you for being a leader. Thank you for also being an encourager.
Thank you. Ditto. All that back at you as well. Thanks for your insight today. I was very blessed and enriched, and we send all of our love to all you wherever you are in this world. Till next time.
Bye.
Bye. Bye-bye.